Welcome to Good Morning Soapstone. Let's give a grand welcome to your hosts, Lolly D and Trainer Cal.
I knew you were going to mess with me. I almost messed with you. I want to congratulate you on the British pub and everything that's going on over there. Congratulations.
The guy that shouted us out is a big radio presenter in the UK, Chris Evans, and I just didn't think anything of it. I got a message. I woke up to a message with a video from someone on Messenger, and I'm very tentative of playing videos that get sent to me by random people on Messenger, as you can probably imagine. But I braved it. I was like, yeah, play. I'm feeling risky today. Play. And I didn't get the weird noises that you normally hear when you play a video that's randomly sent to you. I actually heard British pub was the first thing. I was like, what? British pub?
Yeah.
A very British pub. I was like, go on. Go on. now I'm intrigued. And I've just
that you know you've made it. And you guys have sweatshirts. You guys got sweatshirts and hoodies over there now? I think that's awesome. So y'all got to get yourselves a very British pub. Yeah, no, those and they look great. They look great.
To have merch, like Amazon and the pubs teamed up. We've got merchandise on there now. Just fantastic. And when we had the shout out for the video for the pub, on the radio, my head lead said to me, right, we need to create business emails now. So I was like, okay, cool. So the idea is that we want to get an interview on the radio now. Like that they've seen it, they've been here. We want to invite them in, get an actual actually get this going forward, and try to make some sort of news in the UK. But
that's
it's going
fabulous.
Well. It's going really well.
That is.
So thank you. I thought you were going to tease me on the leaderboard, but I do you know what? You're not as spiteful as I thought you were going to be.
Well, it's getting old that I'm just always ahead of you. There's no point in rubbing it in. I don't need to rub it in.
That's true. It is getting. Do you know Alpha's getting old, guys?
Okay, run. You should run for that one. You should run. When I'm getting older, you're getting older.
21 next week. 21 in, is it dog years? No, not dog years.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Dog years. Yeah, probably. Probably if you did that math, that might work out. I'm not sure. Maybe. Yeah. Was that 140 something? That's about right. That's about right. Thank you, Cal. I love you too.
She's young at heart.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
oh my God. You say that to 80-year-olds. You don't say that to young people like me. You guys, if you got a chance to hear Aaron's, what do we call that thing? Not his podcast anymore. What do we call that? His live stream? The Metaverse live stream? Yeah. He made an announcement that the Soapstone's going to go through a great big revamp. So that's going to be kind of exciting. Apparently, we're leaving this area, moving to the city. Hopefully not LA. I mean, I'd love to have you guys in LA, but it would take everybody 6 hours to get there. So that would
he
suck.
needs to come to London. Come to England.
I don't know. I just know it's moving to the city. That's all he said. So we're gonna have to needle him a little bit and see if we can get more information out of him. The reason we wanted Dawn to come up on the stage is, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see it. She's now partnering up with House Calls VR. She's going to be creating a support group of some sort. I'm not sure. Yeah, I wanted her to tell us about it. If she shows up, maybe we'll have time at the end to talk about it. But I think that's just amazing what she's going to be doing. Is there anything else that we have to cover about the metaverse? I mean, I don't know. I know we changed our jump button. Just in case you got to.
And I like it. I'm back. I'm happy again. Like, okay. Do you know what? I came online. I didn't even press the A button to try and jump. Someone said change it on the settings. I was straight in. As soon as I spawned, I was like, settings, jump with the stick. Yeah, I'm not traitor in my stick.
Yeah. You get used to that. You get used to it. Does anybody know Zach is a tech guy? Zach's a tech guy. Do we know why they did that? Why did they do that?
So it's actually because they added more capabilities with creating. So for example, I have I have it on A because I have a little, basically a controller that now instead of just you pressing like A to do something or B to do something and the trigger, you can now do this, the right joystick.
Oh, okay.
So I had,
and it's
just for more capabilities.
Done it for streamlining as well as it with other applications.
Yep.
That's the streamlining,
as well
and
as
also because of the issues with the remotes. So when you keep clicking and clicking and clicking, it's causing stick drift, which is
he's completed my sentences.
Complete.
Yeah. Okay, so it's too much activity for the joystick, is what they're saying. We're wearing them out, maybe.
Too many of them got broken.
That makes sense.
Like, too many reports on the snapping of it from too much pressing it too much or too much pressure.
Okay. Well, see, that makes sense to me. Sometimes if we understand why, and I did hear that a lot of other applications use the controllers that way, so that does make sense. So that's cool. All right, great. All right. All right. Well, unfortunately, we missed Dawn, but that'll be another day. Hey, say hi to the guys up in the booth. We got Alma up there training Golden Gamer. So thank you, Alma, for always being here, and welcome, Golden Gamer. We're glad you're here. And everybody who's our normal people that are always here, we so appreciate your continued support of the Soapstone and all the activities we have going on here. Don't forget, we got lots of other things going on at the Soapstone. We got the sound check. We got the dry bar tomorrow. We got the musical showcase. So, please pick those events that you like and come. And we're still working on daytime stuff for the UK people. So don't forget, we are doing that. We are working on that. So anyway, anything else you want to talk about before we bring our guest out? All right. Well, we are happy about this. We're moving into a time where it's not just about nightclubs and nature beaches and stuff and houses. We're moving into some care. We talked a lot last week about House Calls VR. This week, we want you to welcome to the stage Rob from Thrive. He's going to tell us what that's all about and share what they're up to. Come on out, Rob, wherever you are, my friend.
Hey guys.
Hey, welcome, Rob.
Hey,
welcome.
Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you. Good to see you.
Hey, buddy. How's it going? Nice to meet you, bud.
Yeah, doing fine. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
So, Rob, it's
Thanks
good
for
to
having
see
me.
you. And Rob's about to become a grandfather again. He's waiting with
that's
bated
right.
breath. And so we're
Probably
glad your daughter
Friday.
wait a few days. Tell her thank you
that
for
was
allowing
really,
you to be
I
here.
did. I told her about this, and she
You
said
tell her to
she
wait?
would try her best.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, we
She's a good
appreciate
daughter.
that. We appreciate
Definitely a good daughter.
She
Yep.
definitely is.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
do we know what the baby is? Do we know if it's a boy
a
or
girl.
girl?
It's a girl. Yeah, a little girl.
Nice.
So excited
Yay,
about
so,
that for sure. Mhm.
That's so. Yes, congratulations in advance. I know this is all scheduled and happening in a couple days.
Yeah,
So
I'll let her
awesome.
know. She's not online. She's involved.
She
with
can name the
Thrive.
baby Lolly.
She said-
Tell her,
Oh,
it's perfectly fine.
That's nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
They might make
That
a short
could
list.
be a girl's name, right?
Alma Jean's a pretty name too.
All right, Rob. Anyway, welcome. And we were talking earlier, and I was just wondering, do you want to tell them a little bit about yourself before you got to Horizons, or we just want to jump right into it? You want to tell them a little bit about you?
So I'm co-founder of a nonprofit organization that operates here in Horizon Worlds. It's called the Thrive Pavilion. What the Thrive Pavilion does is we're focused on using social VR to help older adults overcome the negative impacts of social isolation and loneliness. So that's what the Thrive Pavilion does. So getting into my background a little bit, I'm actually a technologist and have been involved with many startups all the way like from the client server days through the internet to mobile technology, etc. And really, I saw how VR really is sort of that next evolution of those platforms. The way that I saw that was, I mean, we're all part of a big social experiment during COVID, right? Where we all became socially isolated. So I work right now in the technologies for older adults in senior living. What happened during the COVID pandemic is, a lot of older adults will move into communities because in those communities they have a built-in sort of social network, right? Like they do events, they'll exercise together or play cards together or go and learn about something, etc. During COVID, all of that stopped, right? Just like it stopped for all of us, but it stopped there as well. So the industry tried to employ the things that we're all like real familiar with, like Zoom calls and YouTube videos and things like that. What happened was sort of a mental perspective and from a depression perspective, even though they were still doing things or trying to do things using those platforms, from a loneliness perspective, it really wasn't overcoming sort of the social isolation aspects, which is one of the big reasons that older adults will go live in these communities, right? So it was kind of really clear to me as being in the industry and providing technology into that industry was like, if we're not going to solve social isolation and depression using that technology. It's over. The mobile internet that's not what it's really for. Just from sort of personal use of VR because you're talking, you mentioned my daughter. I live in North Carolina and she lives in California. So we were separated by distance for sure, right? In the real world.
Yeah.
And even though my wife would talk to my daughter like every day on Zoom calls or Messenger or whatever it was. So we started to experiment in using the Quest headset they started playing games together, getting into Horizon Worlds, etc. And it was like, for my wife, she would express, "Hey, I really feel like I did something with my
Yes.
daughter, with Emily. We really were together. We laughed. We had a good time. Felt like just like here. We feel very present with one another." And that's really
Right.
so this was kind of like towards the end of 21. And I was like, you know what? Let's do an experiment to see if we can actually get would older adults come and participate in activities where they socialize together, right? Where it's not just using VR to let's say watch a 360 video of like going, being in a gondola or something like that. But we're actually going to participate and do things together socially, or we're learning, but we're doing it together in computer generated spaces. And that really was the genesis for Thrive. So we started Thrive back in April of last year, just to see, hey, are there older adults using the headsets, right? Would they participate in something like this? So far we've been pretty successful. We've grown the group to about 300 older adults. We have about 8 activities every month, but that's really the goal, is can we use these types of these technologies and platforms to help older adults overcome sort of those problems that social isolation has. Because even though the veil of COVID is lifted, there's still a lot of older people that have lack of transportation, or their friends and family have moved away, or they have physical limitations that keep them from going out. What we found is platforms like Horizon Worlds can really be helpful in helping people just improve their mood and be just less lonely.
Yeah. No, that is so true. And it's not just older adults. I mean, I know our focus here right
Yeah,
now
right.
is older adults, but there are people isolated for a whole bunch of reasons. I mean,
sure
different
are. Yeah.
reasons, including self-isolation, including that. And I've met,
Mhm.
and we've all met depressed people in here that are finding their way. They sometimes they may just be in a corner over here, but they're here and they're listening, and that positivity is affecting them in ways where if they were just at home alone watching TV, it won't. So tell us,
Yep.
Thrive now. Just I've been there, but for everyone else, maybe describe, when you say they come there for activities, describe how that works there.
So we have the world's called Thrive Pavilion, and we use the Thrive Pavilion most of the time it's used as a gathering place. For example, last night we played a game called, which you guys are probably familiar with. It's a world built by Jeff CS, where we went and said, hey, we're going to play Word Walkers together. So we use the Thrive Pavilion a lot as the gathering place where our members will come, get together at 8:00, and then we will go generally and use another creator's world in a private instance. So that way that we know it's a bit of a walled garden, that we're not going to be disturbed by other people. They can feel a bit safer if they're new to this type of experience, where they know the people that are going to be in the group. And that works really well. So that's part of how we use the Thrive Pavilion. The other thing that we do, it is a space where, matter of fact, I just came from, we had our morning meditation with Flutter. So she does a meditation a couple times a month. So we did it around our pond. We'll also have experts come in to talk about topics that are important to older adults. We'll use the space there as well for when we bring in like these guest speakers. Mostly we work with a ton of other creators like Jeff CS or VR Plug or Flutter or Up Too Late, or we work quite a bit with House Call VR, where she has topics and worlds that are relevant. So we'll do tours with a lot of creators, like Rexrod has taken us on a tour, Metaverse Page. So we'll go and meet up with these creators, and they'll take us through their worlds and kind of explain the why, and we get sort of a behind the scenes of what the creators' worlds are all about. We just did one with Kawaii. last month where we went and toured a lot of her worlds with her kids. So we're just trying to get socially engaged where you're going into VR, but we want people to participate with one another and really socialize.
Yeah. So see, this is now we can give our parents or grandparents goggles for their birthdays and stuff, and get them, involved. I have a friend, she's a very young thinking friend. She's really not that old, but her body hasn't been the kindest to her. And I would love for her to have one because she's so social inside, but she can't get out. She just can't. And I just feel like this would be a wonderful opportunity for her. Thrive and the entire metaverse.
Yeah,
absolutely. It is.
Absolutely.
It really is. Like I see people like my parents. My mum. She's not very mobile. Like she can't get out. I can't see in a million years her putting on a headset. But it wasn't until I received a video on Christmas Day. She was down my sister's on the PlayStation headset, nearly running into the wall. I was like, "No, you've not run for a long time." The last time I saw my mum run was when I was running with her purse, her coin pouch, to the ice cream van that was coming down the road.
Yeah, funny.
It's the last time I saw her run, and it made me laugh. Like to sit, and I was like, "Mum," after seeing how she was like a bull in a china shop. That's how I'm gonna put it. Like, you're not going in my headset.
Yeah, right.
You are right. It does. It gives people that sense of freedom to feel like they can feel 20, 30 years younger than they did before, communicate like, they're down in a cafe with their friends or going for a walk in the mall with their friends, and they're no different to us, guys. It's a number, right? Age is just a number.
Yeah.
We shouldn't make them feel isolated. So one thing I'm thinking with that, like, it's great that you've got a place in here, but apart from word of mouth, how do you get them to come to you? Like, what's your advertising like with that?
We are right now growing organically. Most of the organic growth has been through our social media. So we're very active on Facebook and Instagram. That's how we're getting the message out. What we're starting to do now in February, and we're starting to engage in PR, in getting the word out. A couple things that we're doing. I've got a podcast scheduled with the AR VR Association, so that'll be coming out sort of late February. We're also doing a lot of promotion now because it's relatively easy to do. I've done it before, and it's incredibly easy to actually call your local TV station here in the United States, because those TV stations, there's usually one in every market that's doing like 5 hours of news a day, and they are starved for stories. And it's really easy just to call them up and say, "Hey, here's an interesting story." So we have a story lined up where we're working with a local TV station here in Raleigh's, where we are. They're very interested in covering the metaverse and what Thrive is doing. And we're starting to do that reach out. And again, it's like I really started as an experiment in April. And one of the reasons why we chose Horizon Worlds, honestly, it's very easy to build something. It's a cost-effective platform. It started as an experiment. People were showing up and people were repeating. And that's why we went ahead and formed a nonprofit organization to run it. Because what the nonprofit organization will now allow Thrive to do is to raise money so that we can fund our mission. And we can start to get the word out more and more, and work with other industry partners, et cetera, to get that word out. Because, we're in the very early days. We're in sort of the Netscape days of web browsers for sure.
Yeah.
So we're very early, so for the 300 that we may have now, and we have a few that are from the UK, I know that number could be 30,000. Very easy. Just given enough time, So
and then we can get other people involved, like AARP and other organizations. Get them involved too.
And that's one of the, if you look at, we talk about a lot in Horizon Worlds, and it's not a bad word when because we have to, as either creators of worlds or creators of community, to think about how does it get monetized? So how do you generate some revenue to keep your mission up? And that's really what we're looking at Thrive, is how do we generate the ability to have resources to continue either building worlds or paying creators that we work with for their time, money, and effort, et cetera. So we are starting to look at that now in 23, as we've sort of proved out this could be sustainable.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Incredible. And
I know.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, go on, Ollie.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead, Critter. ahead.
I was going to say, I can really see like this organization. When you say expanded to the UK, like
Mhm.
in the UK, we have a lot of. I don't know if you do in the US. I'm sure you do, but we have a lot of what we call as care homes where older residents
Mhm.
stay and live together.
Yeah.
Now, thinking if we get funding for £400 for a headset, just to be in one of these care centers,
Mhm.
where a few of these residents an hour a day could just share it.
That's right.
How much
Yeah.
benefit is that going to gain?
Mhm.
$400, yeah. If it's nothing, if everyone
Mhm.
chips in $1 here, £1 there,
Yeah.
just to help,
Yeah.
and I think what you're doing is phenomenal, and I can see it going a long way. You probably thought of way better things than what I've just thought of, and you probably thought of that already. But
I'll take any idea.
I see fantastic. I see
Mhm.
fantastic things with that. I really do, and I hope one day when I get to that stage where I'm old and vulnerable, that I have someone like you that's there looking out for my generation then as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
hats off to you,
absolutely.
man. Yeah,
And
Yeah.
I think that, what's interesting about this technology, what's interesting about VR, because lots of people say, "Oh, older adults are not very good at technology." And I think when we think about technology that older adults may not be very good with is really the two-dimensional screen. And the
yeah,
two-dimensional screen as being high tech is a real anomaly in sort of the history of technology. That's why there have been things like areas called like user interface and user design and stuff. Is that using a two-dimensional interface is just so bad and so hard to understand
yeah,
that a lot of older adults struggled with it because they didn't grow up with it. But what's great about VR is that it's inherently, and I'll use a term, it's inherently skeuomorphic, which means that the interface is uh, the way that you interact with it is you interact with it the way you do in the real world. So if I want to pick something up, there's nothing here to pick up, but we know that you reach out and you grab it, right? And you
yeah.
pick it up. If I want to high five you, I high five
Except
you.
a cute chick.
Right.
Right,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So it's inherently skeuomorphic. So I think older adults will find this technology easier to use because they don't have
Yeah.
to really learn that much. Like I don't have to use the ASDF key to look over to you, right?
Right.
I just move my head. I don't have to learn how to move my head. I've been moving my head forever, right? So it's
Right.
an inherently skeuomorphic platform that I think will make the adoption of it for older people easier.
Plus, and
I
especially
agree.
in a platform like Horizons, there's so many people around you to help you.
Yeah.
You just stand there
Mhm.
and they'll be right next to you
Mhm.
talking
No,
you
Batman.
through it. I mean, that
Yeah.
is such a valuable thing.
Mhm.
Just the socialization. I mean, older
Mhm.
people need that so desperately.
They do. Yeah.
And I was going to ask you about, and I don't know the word. I want to say vignette. What is the word
Yes.
with the story time? Explain
yeah.
that, which I thought looked really cool. So what's happening there?
Yeah, thank you very much. So what we did is we started a project inside of Thrive as we would gather weekly and our members would start to share stories about like what it was like when they were young, like particularly when we did our Halloween party. We sat around sort of the campfire and talked about what it was like when I used to when people used to trick or treat
Yeah.
when they were younger. So, and all these stories started to come out. So what we're doing with the Vignettes project is we're gathering up these stories that our members have and creating very small sort of shadow boxes of them that recreate that memory but in 3D virtual space. So you can
Mhm.
so you can go and look at the vignette and hear them tell the story, look at sort of that snapshot, but then you can participate in that memory by
Yeah.
going into it in
That's
just the
awesome.
way that we go today. So we're
That's
starting to build
awesome.
them out, and we've partnered with people like Farseg and M. Hossley. Up Too Late is part of it. Flutter, Jojo Noto has participated in providing us like her framework and stuff like that. So we're
Nice.
working on making these small vignettes, and hopefully by the end of February we'll have a couple of them ready. Part of a bit of our
Yeah.
PR program that we're rolling out in 2000.
Well, I'm a big fan of
Sorry,
history in
2020.
general,
training?
but
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys,
Hey.
can I jump up
Hey.
for a quick
sure,
second?
Yeah.
come on up. Come on
Sure,
up.
come on up.
Hey, all right. Thank you. Hey, first off, Rob, I just wanted to say,
Yeah, nice to see you again.
congrats, and I commend you on everything that you're doing in here. It's so awesome to hear your heart and hear
Mhm.
how you are making things accessible to a group
Mhm.
of people that I think are going to not only wildly benefit from this platform, but are
Mhm.
going to wildly benefit this platform. Just from
Yes, exactly.
they're gonna
It's
add
both
an
ways.
incredible
It is both
amount.
ways.
Yeah,
Agreed.
my
Mhm.
mom
Mhm.
falls into the category that could
Mhm.
participate with Thrive, and I've
Yeah,
got a couple
please.
of extra
Yeah.
headsets, and I'm going to try to
Mhm.
once again encourage her
Mhm.
to do that. And some of what you just said
Mhm.
about how natural it is,
Mhm.
and how easy it is to learn, especially compared to two-dimensional technology. That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for being a part of this. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and insights with everybody here. And Lolly and Trainer, you guys, as you know, I appreciate you so much for bringing great contributors to the metaverse, like Rob here,
That's turn.
to come in. You guys are all great, great, great. Um, thanks.
So it's actually while you're up there. So I actually am gonna try to convince my mom as well. Do you want to give
Yeah.
some little notes that you're thinking you're gonna say to your mom? Because I'm not like my mom when she hears
I heard
this,
free
she hears
headsets.
like
That's what I heard.
she
I
just
heard free
coming to
headsets,
be
yeah.
around me. So what do you suggest that I could like say to her that she won't just think she's just gonna be here and I'll be
Yeah,
inviting
and I
her to
think
like
that
my
that question is for Rob, correct?
I guess like him as well as like what your ideas that you're gonna say to your mom are.
Okay, well,
Some
I'll
ideas.
answer real quick then, and I'll turn it over. I don't want to distract too much. You guys are on a groove, so I'm going to get out of here. But real quick, I'm going to recap exactly what Rob was saying, about how the technology and the experience is more organic and more natural than other times when technology has come in. That's going to be my pitch, so to speak. So again, thank you for
That's
that. It's a
perfect.
pleasure to
For
meet
real.
you.
Absolutely.
Let
Yeah,
me and
absolutely.
Lolly and Trainer know if there's anything that the Soapstone community can do to
Absolutely. Yeah,
help your
for sure.
mission, because I'm all in.
Mhm.
I'm all in with everything you got going. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
thanks.
right.
Awesome.
So
Thanks, Aaron.
yeah, it's hard to say what you would say to your mom, but I can give you some examples of why members have joined us and see if any of these things may resonate for your mother, right? We have some members that do have some physical limitations. So we have members that do have things like MS and they're bedridden or wheelchair bound, etc. Not just spending time with Thrive, but they spend a lot of time in VR because it has given them their life back.
You were
So that's
spot
one.
on. But my
Yeah.
mom's had been in a wheelchair for 16 years, and
Yep.
she's now like an artist and photographer. But
Yeah.
so you were spot on with that. So
It's
for real,
it's
thank
given
you.
part of her life
Absolutely.
back. Other people that have joined us, it may just be like, hey, it's too hot out. And they live in Texas and during the summer it was like super hot. So they came and joined us to do some things because they just didn't want to go outside. There are
Right.
other members that recently, let's say, had a spouse pass away. So their daughter was like, hey, mom, I noticed that there's this
Yes.
group, on Horizon Worlds. Maybe you want to go check them out. And she's come, several times. So there's lots of different reasons why people will join the group. Everybody's unique. And I also don't want to necessarily be ageist, like you have to be like really old. There's just different reasons why people have been finding it valuable.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Hey, Love, did you have a question? You have a question?
Yeah, no, I was just going to chime in on that whole situation with elderly family members. I've had success. I've infiltrated 2 headsets at this point and for Zach, one of my older friends who's literally, especially, she was barely holding on to a social interaction, and COVID pretty much shut all that down because obviously in it, and she just went into this downward spiral so hard. And she's still just in her 60s. She's not that quote unquote old per se, but and I also noticed that pensioners over in England, because I'm going through a divorce myself, and I'm out on stress leave from work, so this is definitely an escape for me because I'm able to just kind of detach. This is like my love persona versus the other guy who's IRL is are bifurcated. So the escape, and which also, I mean, the dark side of it is it can also become addictive because we all there might be some of us in here that that are perhaps here at the cost of IRL responsibilities. But the question I had, sorry, I didn't mean to rattle on, but the question I had is there any, like, it almost feels like in England, because of the NHS, there's almost a subsidy program for loneliness and well-being, and so headsets might be subsidized. Are there any programs in the United States? I mean, that's question one, to assist with that. And number two is, I've also noticed VR has such a bad rap from previous implementations that it's this, to me, it feels like this iteration might be the final kicker, back from the Game Boy VR days or whatever, the line art stuff, to this. Do you really feel that this might be the time that we may break into VR being mainstream, or do you think this might also be one more time that it kind of, because all the negative press with Meta, it might also spiral down to, historical, what is it? What is it called?
Yeah, sure.
Cult classic, Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, for sure. So I think this generation of technology has made it accessible to people, particularly because you're not tethered to your computer, et cetera. So it definitely is accessible because we have not given away headsets. So the people that are in our community right now are very much invested in it. And they range in age generally from like very late 50s to 80s, are generally the age of our members. I do think that this technology, it's becoming mainstream. And my hat's off really is to Meta that has put so much into VR and the platform, and looking at it as a long-term play, and also realizing early that it's a social platform, not a gaming platform, that the real value is in the socialization, not just in making 3D games. That's by far, and I think that they realize that, and they are focused on it. So thank you very much, Meta. And also for doing Horizon Worlds to make it so easy. And there has been a lot of meta, for sure, there's been a lot of meta bashing. I'm just not, that's not me, right? I'm a proponent of what they're doing. In terms of the healthcare system in the United States is very weird. Unlike like maybe in the UK or in other countries that I'm familiar with, there's very little money that is not available for immediate medical care. So whether that is for things like taking care of, if you're going to a psychiatrist or psychologist, there's money for that, but there is very little money for things that fall outside of medical or organized care. And that's just because of the way the laws are made. And it just, there's not a lot of programs.
Well, I noticed that, I'm sorry, I didn't
government perspective. Yeah, go ahead.
Fitbits are now subsidized, right? A lot of insurance companies will, like if you're a part of any almost self-respecting company, they will literally, you can fill out a form, or it's a little bit painful and nobody bothers doing it, but you can almost get a Fitbit for free. So I wonder if enough. Yeah, sorry.
So if you look at like there's a couple things, particularly when you look at care for older adults, which are generally going to fall under Medicare. Or if you don't have a lot, if you have less money, you may fall under Medicaid. And there are certain things that are regulated. Those programs, if they're administered like in a managed case, like you're part of United Healthcare or something like that under Medicare, those managed programs cannot give out inducements. There's only a few inducements that they can do that are within the law. And so there's a few things that have made it in, like the Fitbit, or like there's a program called like Silver Sneakers, where they'll give you healthcare membership. But they're by law, they cannot give inducements or extra things to say, oh, we gave them a headset, even though it's good and it'd be good for their mental health. That is seen as like an inducement to get somebody to join, and that is illegal. The laws in the United States are very difficult right now for technologies that can help seniors if it's not specifically in the guidelines of the law or related specifically to medical care. Like it's just the nature of healthcare in the United States at the moment.
Are there any NGO efforts, like say for monetizing, pairing up, like say a Patreon type thing where, end elderlyloneliness.org or something? Is there any, I mean, because I'm kind of working towards that effort. Some of the folks here I've spoken to, kind of understand where I'm going with this. So, do you know of any that I could maybe become part of, or actually even, that's what I'm trying to create is an NGO for that purpose. I'm glad. I planted Zach over here, by the way, to ask the question. Sorry.
So we should, definitely let's be friends and talk, because that is the reason why Thrive is a nonprofit organization, is to do things like that, to be able to raise awareness, et cetera, and to start to, like figure out how we get more people in. It is specifically,
Just a tip for everybody
how
here.
to partner things. Mm-hmm.
Right. Sorry, I have a problem with interrupting. Just a tip for everybody here. The World Health Organization, they came up, I'm sure you're familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, the Local 2030 project, essentially. There is room for elder care, and there's also, avenues legally, both internationally and nationally, and, at every level of. So just, I'll definitely want to compare notes with you, Rob. I'll reach out to you, afterwards. Hopefully.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mention it, because there's a Harvard longitudinal study that was started in 1938 that looked at the overall health of these students that were in Harvard in 1938, and in terms of longevity and happiness and health. And they looked at not only them, but their offspring and their grandchildren and stuff like that. So if the study's been going on, almost close to 100 years, right? If it started in 38, right. We're talking, it's almost 80. It's probably 80 years now. The one thing that they have, and there's some articles now in like the New York Times or the Atlantic that just recently came out. The number one predictor of good health into your old age is social relationships. That was it.
Yep.
It was
totally believe
having
that.
meaningful social relationships, right?
One of the
great
things,
platform to maintain it.
One of the things my family does with the older people, they plan activities and trips to look forward to, and you'd be surprised. I mean, my father-in-law right now is getting ready to go to Cabo, and he's 89, and Cabo's in September, so we gotta get ready to go to Cabo. And it's just that's his focus right now, and it's very cool. Not everybody can do that, but having a place like this, and what's wrong with, maybe it'd be great if we could get organizations that provide goggles for older people. But when you have family members, like all of us have older folks in our homes or in our families, what's wrong with 6 of us getting together and buying the goggles? It's, everybody puts in $70 or something and buys the goggles. It's not, it's not going to kill our budgets. I think we could do that. And what a difference it would make for them. It's a free app. Horizons is a free app. They do have to have the internet, but most of them do, I think, have access to the internet. So,
and in my experience of being in technology for older adults, we're always looking, like, as an industry or companies, we're like, how can I find the payer? Right? How can I find the money?
Right.
And what happens is when you get too focused on who's the payer, you lose focus on who the most important persona is. The most important persona is the older person. They have the emotional need. And second most important is like their family member, because they're worried about them, et cetera, am I taking care of them? Once you start getting too focused on the payer, you start to have to
cater to that.
Getting wrapped up in their problems.
Right.
I want to stay focused on what we're trying to do here with Thrive.
Yeah. Awesome. Anybody have a question? Phoenix, do you have a question, my friend? You got your arm up? Come on up, lady. Haven't seen you for a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while. Good to see you, Phoenix.
It's been a while.
Jump up on the stage, Phoenix. Jump up so everyone can hear.
We want,
right. Have to push the B button or A button or something.
The A button. There you go.
There you go. She got it.
I switched it back to.
You switched it back.
Old school, man. Old school.
Yeah, that's right. I pushed it.
Pretty
back
soon,
to pushing it forward. That's the way it was.
Pretty soon we're going to ask, are you into the button or the A for the jump? The A people will be like, oh, you're
I stayed on A, and the reason why I'm on A is when we get new members and we're trying to explain like how something works.
Right.
I want to explain it in the way they're probably set up. So I'm on A. I'm an A person.
That's what I figured, because as they change the interface, I don't want to, keep forcing my issue on it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm on it. I'm A.
Okay, so I just have a real quick question. I think you and I have talked about that. My mom is in an assisted living facility right down the road. She's 90, and actually, she is actually better at a computer. She has a computer, she has a tablet, she has all those things. I've had her in the headset, and we've talked about this. I know there's a company out there, but what her issue would be the controllers, because her arthritis and the issues with, she has no feeling in some of the tips of her fingers, so she wouldn't even know what she was touching. And so I know that you said that there's a company out there that does that, but is there a way that myself as her daughter could get a hold of a tablet where I could control when she's in the headset.
Yeah. So,
Are those
right.
available
Obviously,
for people like me?
yeah. So certainly, I think with the Quest, that's a bit difficult. And again, there are definitely. I'm not saying like, hey, this technology works for everybody, right? Like you could be visually
Right.
impaired or hard of hearing or have those tactile problems. So this definitely only works for a subset of people and potentially not everybody. So definitely aware of that. There are other companies that work specifically in those types of environments. One is called Rendeavor, and they're a great company. And they provide a little bit different experience, but it's an experience that allows like a staff member or a family member to guide the experience. So the older adult really just has to wear the headset. They do mostly like 360 video experiences, mostly, which is great.
Right.
You may not make it to Cabo. You may not physically able to make it to Cabo. So this is sort of the next best thing on doing that. Those companies like Rendeavor are really focused on like that sort of care level, where they're focused on like the assisted living, memory care, etc., and are using VR technology from sort of a 360 experience, which are great experiences. Thrive is focused differently. We're focused more on a social experience than those types of experiences, and they're both good, right? For sure.
Yeah.
But they're a great company. They actually are the guys behind Wander and also Outlive.
But what a great idea,
bit
Phoenix.
with
That would
VR.
that would seem like something maybe someone could
Yeah.
develop, because there'd be a lot of
Mhm.
situations where that would work. Where
Mhm.
where someone was paralyzed and and they
Yeah.
could put it on their heads while someone else
Mhm.
controlled it for
Yeah.
them. That would be awesome.
Mhm.
They could at least go to, maybe they're not going to Breakneck Canyon, but they can go to an event. They could be here. They could be standing there talking. I mean, that would be
Mhm.
awesome. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great idea. Hopefully
Yeah.
somebody's working on that. That's wonderful.
Yeah. I'm trying to take it one step
Yeah,
at a
I've
time.
I've
for
tried
sure.
to I've tried to get together with the activities person there to tell them about
Yep.
Rendeavor and all of that.
Mhm.
But I have a feeling that I would be
The bland at life.
the person that would come in to run it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's
And
the thing
I
where
don't. I
once
just want there
yeah.
to be an option for me to be
Yeah.
able to get something like that I could have, that when I go see her,
Can
I
you
could
sit down,
bring a
please?
headset.
They
and-
may Rendeavor may offer a personal
Can you
experience.
go
It's
and sit
worth
down, please?
contacting them to see if
Okay.
they do anything individually. And that's
Thank
sort of the
you so
challenge too when you start to work inside of an industry like Rendeavor is, or other technology, where now you're trying to find the money. You get very caught up in like that their problems of like, we're understaffed, we don't have budget, things like that, and you start to try to solve their problems, and you lose your focus a bit from actually helping
Right.
the older adult. Yeah.
True.
For Phoenix,
Very
real
But they're
quick,
great.
Rob,
Lolly.
I
They're a
appreciate
great
it.
company. It's good seeing you again.
Thank
It's been a
you,
while.
Phoenix.
Good seeing you
Absolutely.
too.
Good seeing you, Phoenix.
I
Hey,
have a meeting to go to, so I'm out.
Hey, Thrive,
Thank you guys.
Thrive, real
Enjoy.
quick. From your experience, I'm sorry for anybody. How compatible are you Bluetooth devices? Because there are some interfaces out there, like I'm sure you've heard of Leap Motion, which is that
Mhm.
little spider-looking thing you can put on your head. And I'm really
Yep.
surprised that Meta and other companies haven't jumped on Leap, because they already have 6-axis motion capabilities,
Mm.
and they're already. Are you familiar with Leap at all?
Yeah, I am familiar with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
so is this platform? I know the headsets are Android
Mhm.
based, so they are kind of open platform. But could one almost? I wonder. I mean, it's a pretty expensive device, so I haven't had a chance to
Mhm.
splurge for it.
Yeah.
But is there? Could I essentially maybe get one of those and essentially Bluetooth pair it to a Meta device? You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
I
all
guess
they
you
would
could
need is
try.
an
Yeah.
API. Yeah, I know. All they would
Yeah.
need is an API.
Probably.
Anyway, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Just wondering, because
Yeah.
there's so many interfaces possible that are already out that just need to be kit
Yep.
bashed. Yeah. Anyway,
Mhm.
sorry.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
I'm trying.
Well,
Yeah. Cool.
do you gentlemen, do you have anything else you want to add, or have I missed a question? Is there anybody else out here that's got a question really quick
It's
before we go? Zach, go ahead, sweetie.
Not,
Go ahead.
not really a question. So it just piggybacking off, you guys said the controllers. So I mean, VR chat did kind of, I would say, start, but so the Apple VR, the Apple headset that's coming out, the Apple it's actually wholeheartedly like that. It's like going to be based to completely and utterly, like, you won't have to use controllers, and you can still like completely do what we're doing in here by literally putting your fingers and pinching it. So once that comes out, and especially since how much they're competing with each other, I see this like it's
Explosion.
I see a lot coming in here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's all true, Zach.
And my prediction for the Apple device is they will not release a consumer device that costs more than $1,000. They've never done that ever. So they're not about to do anything in VR that's like $3,500. That's ridiculous.
I was gonna say that was definitely a
whenever they
rumor.
release it, it'll be under 1,000. Yep. No doubt about it. Right? Because they're a consumer company and they know what the price point is.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Does anybody else have a question? Sturm, go ahead.
I always ask this to every guest. What has been your biggest challenge in the metaverse?
Ooh, nice.
What are the biggest challenge in the metaverse? I think that the biggest challenge has really been getting the message out. That has, for me, has been the challenge. Is that it's here, that it's accessible, that because of like some of that negative press of like, oh, I'm going to go onto the social platform and I'm going to, be attacked by somebody, etc. So overcoming that sensationalism that's been put out there when in reality, it's a very safe space. And we certainly, what we do is even make it extra safe for people, right? For our demographic. So I think that's the biggest challenge, is kind of overcoming some of that negative press that's been out there. But it's the same thing. People didn't want airbags when airbags first came out, but every car has airbags now. So we'll probably get there, right? We'll overcome it,
All right.
when the good
anybody
stories
else?
get out there.
I ask him if it's
So true. Yeah. Anybody else got anything they want to say?
Sam, I see you
go
have
ahead.
your hand up over there. Do you want to come up on up?
Come on.
Hiya. I just wondered if you feel like a traitor when you create a different world but then come into another world.
This is the soap opera.
Because I know that people don't like portals being opening in their world to the other world.
Sure.
So I just wondered if the other creators knew you were here.
Are you talking to Cal? Or are you talking to Rob?
For the record, this is the Real Housewives of Metaverse portion of the.
Exactly. Yeah. So we we
Go
leverage. We work with a lot of creators. We create all our own content, right? And we try and work as closely as possible with them. We let them know that we're coming.
Mm-hmm.
We share our social media with them. So I'm not claiming like if we're playing MetaFeud, from See Me Bro, we have a good relationship with See Me Bro.
And besides that, Sam, the idea in the metaverse is that we are all interacting together, because as you know, Trainer Cal does own and operate the British pub. He's also a producer here at the Soapstone. This is his home. He started here, right? Yeah. And Jessica from Black Magic is here. She's the owner and creator of Black Magic, which is a comedy club. But we are all people that belong in Horizons. We are all friends. We're a big community. So, the idea that we would not want to share it is just foreign to us.
Only want our world to succeed, and we're all individuals and thinking that the platform's going to fail very quick.
Yeah.
Yep. Like if we don't succeed together and march hand in hand together, this platform will not get nowhere. Like we've seen there's bad press, and then it gets overwritten by the good things that the pub, the Soapstone and Black Magic do together. We work very close together, and I work very close with a lot of worlds out there. Because there's no point being selfish in here.
Hey, Trainer,
the analogy is we're small businesses. We're not YouTube creators.
Yeah,
right.
I think that the analogy breaks again. We're getting back to
I'm not able to download this.
It's more like the real world. So if I was like a real senior community in the real world, I would not build my own theater. I would go to the theater that someone made, or I wouldn't build my own bowling alley. I would go to a bowling alley. Right. We are small businesses and a community, and we're leveraging each other's value in trying to build what we're building collectively.
I go to the pub, I go to Black Magic, I hang out here. My friends are all over. So I think, having the freedom to do that is important, that we feel like we don't have to be in only one place.